what I'd like us to do is maybe talk for a minute about what this mentor business is. We got a lot of folks who have joined up and said they want to be mentors, and we've given them some information online, but I think a lot of people out there are wondering, okay, what have I just signed up for? What am I going to be doing? So what's your vision of it?
I view this mentor thing as one of the most exciting part of this new class, which is the big problem with an online class is people don't feel a sense of community. They're not connected. And what my goal is to create an intro class where Sam and I are talking to thousands of people, but that all the students who are watching the class are part of a smaller group. So these pods essentially will be made up of students from God knows where, but they're going to feel as though they have this home room, this group that they can connect with while they're listening to lectures and after the class is over. So it's a kind of a dynamic way of doing a big class.
And you're calling pods or homerooms like the students who are assigned to work with one of our mentors. So we might we might be 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 people.
Or 100.
Or 100. And actually, I guess that's one of the things we're not sure of, and that's one of the empirical questions.
Exactly.
Right?
And to me, what I like about this class, and anybody who's taken the class knows, we're always doing research. Every minute we're doing research. And no one's ever done this. We don't know what the ideal size of a class is, or the ideal size of a community or a pod. And so we're going to find out what works best, and then in subsequent years, whatever we find here, we will apply it.
Cool, I see. So we're going to have 30, 40, maybe even more mentors, is that right, in working with us?
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, okay.
You know, my biggest goal is that I would love to have 10,000 students.
10,000, huh?
Yeah, 100,000 would be even better.
Okay.
But this year, our initial hope was 10,000. It's probably going to be closer to 2,000 or 3,000. Okay. But my goal is as we expand the size of this class, we would get more and more mentors. So I could see next year, if we do get up to 10,000, we would probably have 100 mentors.
Wow, okay.
Maybe, and it's possible we could have more. But I don't,
Right.
Again, this is an empirical question. We don't know.
Right, and I think that's what makes it fun, and we've actually built it as a 357 course because to reflect that fact that this is actually research. It's education and research put together in the same place. They shouldn't be two different options. It's the same thing.
And one thing I wanted to that I hope happens is that the mentors are approaching this as though they're scientists. I need their feedback, and you do too, in terms of what's going on. Is this working? How can we change things so they would work a little bit better? So I don't want anybody to approach this kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to be a mentor. Here are the rules. Here's how to do it. We don't know what we're doing. Welcome to my life. I never know what I'm doing. But it usually works out. But for us together to be problem solvers, to figure out how can we make this work.
Right, and even get the mentors as part of this process to not just come up with ideas, although ideas are what we're looking for, but also to implement those. If we find some resources the students could use, get them to build them. I mean, they're the experts, and obviously we can help with some of the technical psychology stuff, but it's got to be our mentors who really have the ability to implement some things where if it's just 2 or 3 of us on the faculty side, would be stretched way too thin, and it won't happen to way down the line.
That's exactly right.
So, this will be a full semester of their regularly interacting during the class with the. Actually, what do you think? What do you think of that is going on during the class itself? Okay, the mentor is sitting there monitoring some input as far as the chat going on within their pod or homeroom, whatnot.
Well, I think about this a little bit as though I was the kind of kid that sat in the back of class, talking with my friends, and so. The instructor's talking, and you're saying stuff kind of under your breath to one another, such as, "Wow, that's a really interesting idea," or "That is so stupid." I kind of view this as a way that they're watching the lectures, they're thinking, and I would love students who want to do it to enter something that says something like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder if it's related to so-and-so. And somebody
Yeah.
else says, yeah, my cousin did that and this happened.
Right.
But it's kind of a, a, the opportunity to listen and to process the information. And I know that students do this. And last year when we did it in our bigger tower class, people were online talking all the time. And we found that actually those people who talked tend to do better in the class, which
Interesting, okay.
which was kind of interesting.
So the mentor then really isn't sort of telling the people stuff so much as the mentor is there to
They are
kind of stimulate.
that's it. They're the group process coordinators.
Yeah.
Because the mentors, sometimes they'll know answers to things, but mostly I want that all this recent research on theories of learning suggests that the more people work, the more they struggle, the more they learn. So if there's conflict, if they think something's wrong or whatever, to help the group try to work it out, to understand a topic. And that's really, when it comes down to it, that's what I want the mentors to do, is to be there to help essentially get people to think. And sometimes they could ask provocative questions. They could sometimes ask people what they think. They could sometimes provide some guidance.
Or maybe focus on some comment some student has made and said, "That's a really great point. What do you think?" And so they're really reading the activity, the thinking of the group, and stimulating it by saying, "This gets gold star. What do you guys think
That's
about
right.
it?"
And the other thing that I want the censor to be, that's where I was going with this. The mentor is sometimes a censor.
Yeah.
In the sense of,
okay.
sometimes, I know last year with our online chats, there was some racist stuff, some homophobic stuff. There was some stuff where students were saying the test had nothing to do with the lectures. All of this, I don't want the mentor to be heavy-handed, but I want to call people out when they are saying things that I think are hurtful or abusive or bullying or just plain wrong. So there is this, the role is this interesting mixture of teacher, of supporter, kind of fellow traveler, but also there is a little bit of a subtle hand of authority, which is this is allowed, this isn't allowed. And I don't think that's going to be much of a problem.
Okay, good, yeah. And certainly it does make sense that part of this, the trick of the university is that people, if they're respectful to one another, can exchange really complicated opinions.
That's right.
But it's that respect is necessary. Otherwise people get defensive and it changes from an intelligent discussion to people saying mean things to each other. And if we can kind of nip that in the bud, then it makes a much better place.
Exactly.
And then outside of class, the mentors, I assume, will be, and we're going to have them do some office hours, which might be a place for them to kind of continue some discussions that had been started during class, or to point out some things. Maybe even that some other homerooms or groups have said that, and we can pass that on to everybody. Say, oh, here was a really neat discussion that went over here. Look at it, everyone.
That's an interesting idea, yeah. And again, we don't know what we're doing.
Yes.
But I'm thinking of the office hours as just going to the chat room. Your usual chat, and anybody who wants to show up and have discussions or whatever, that's great. And if people want to have kind of a one-on-one, another possibility would be to have, maybe scheduled 5 or 10 minutes one-on-one.
Oh, good.
Something like that. I'm not sure. We'll have to figure out a way to do that.
And there will be graduate student support, and then me as the faculty member involved. So we'll have the mentors aren't out there alone.
That's right. That's right.
Let me ask you one more thing, just for this little video right here. What's the state of the technology development? A lot of the students have wondered, well, what am I doing this? How am I doing this? Am I going on to Skype? Am I going on to some existing platform? Is it all taking place in Facebook? Or
Well, last year we had the tower software that went through our own system. This year we're going through the new Blackboard. Now, Blackboard has been the platform that the university has always used, but we're changing to something called Canvas, which is a different system. So this year, what we're doing is building Tower to work through Canvas.
Oh, okay.
And we're adding these modules that will have the chat within it. It'll have the streaming video will come through Canvas. Everything will be through Canvas, which means that for most people, or for most tasks, they have to be registered in the class. In other words, people outside the class won't be part of it.
Now, will it be a Skype-like, I see your image, and so I have like 20 students and I can see them all? Oh, okay.
No. The only imaging will be Sam and me.
Oh, okay.
So there won't be imaging within Canvas.
Okay, okay. So it'll be all written exchanges,
That's right.
at least as far as those ongoing blog kind of things
That's
happening.
exactly right.
Yeah. So everybody have to kind of figure out how to manage creating a community
That's exactly right.
under those conditions. Although most online sites really are writing based and not visually based.
Exactly.
Okay. So it sounds like this project then is one where the mentors themselves are collaborators with us in trying to create this
That's
course.
it. This is a collaboration among everybody, and it's really important for the mentors to appreciate. And I know you're starting to see this. This is a huge operation.
Yeah.
There are probably between 50 and 100 people behind the scenes on this. Okay. There are videographers, there are sound people, there are people are building sets, there are producers. We have a dozen people, more than a dozen, in the liberal arts ITS, writing the software, building the systems. This is a huge project.
And this is University of Texas has really put its backing behind all this, right?
We are doing, I think, potentially a world-changing thing. And so there are so many moving parts. And Sam and I have been involved in this, and you're now involved with it. And there's nobody who has a good understanding of everything. And that's why this really is a close collaboration that we have to work with one another. And this is where we need the eyes and ears of the mentors to also help with this.
Because it's massive amount of information coming through, right?
It's also one of the biggest research projects, I think, in the history of the world, at least in terms of education. I don't want to sound grandiose.
But it is huge. I mean, this is a huge university, University of Texas, putting its substantial resources behind this one project.
Right.
And really, there are just 2 classes using this system this coming year, right? It's been only you and
it will be, ours is going to be the real serious one. The other one, I think, is it's in government. It's the first time they've done it, and they have no idea what's in store for them.
But 2 years down the line, there could be 2-3 dozen classes being done this way, right?
That's where we are the flagship. Yes.
And so if the mentor part of this works, then this is part of what we pass on to other people. This is the way to make your course better, is to recruit bright undergraduates who have taken this and get them to collaborate with you to create an even better, more kind of interactive and warm course that people like.
That's right.
Good.
And I think this is, from a mentor's perspective, this will be a really great experience. It's going to be a little bit like being a TA or a teacher. For the first time, you're actually involved in kind of shaping the minds of the next generation.
Yeah.
And one reason I'm so excited about this mentorship project is it is going to be a wonderful educational experience for the mentors, I think, as much as the students who are taking the class.
Wow.